Welcome to MartialPreneur TV. It's me, Scott Paterson, and this is the latest episode of the show. Now, we've got with us today a special guest. We have Daniel Faggella. Now, I got chatting with Daniel Faggella. He contacted me online, and we just got chatting about teaching online, that kind of thing. And he was telling me about his online site, which is called Micro BJJ. And it's the first and only online resource for lightweight BJJ fighters. Now, Dan was telling me a bit about how he was teaching at his local school that he'd set up, and how he was in a very small town and there wasn't that many students to gain in such a small community. So, and then how he started teaching online. And actually, within 6 months, he managed to get over 10,000 subscribers to his email list for Micro BJJ, and his actual training courses and everything that he offered on there was outperforming sales-wise his physical dojo. So I was like, straight away, well, let's talk about that and tell everyone a little bit more about it for MartialPreneur TV. So twisted his arm, not literally, he'd whoop me in a fight. He kills giants, and he said that he would come on and talk a little bit more about it. So before we go over to the interview, Daniel is also a no-gi Pan Am champ. He's an author, writer. He does his own show himself with regards to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And as again, like I say, he's a bit of a giant killer. So there's a bit of a famous video doing the rounds, which I'll attach to the page, where it's him against the giant, a 240-pound wrestler who he taps out with an awesome leg lock, I believe. And he's also got a number one selling book on Amazon as well, which is fantastic. So, Dan is doing everything right. So without further ado, let's find out what Dan has to say. Welcome to MartialPreneur TV. We have with us today, our guest is Dan Faggella. How you doing, Dan?
Doing good, brother. How's it going, Scott?
Yeah, very good, man. Very good. Thanks very much. I wanted to get Dan on the show today because I think basically I'll backtrack a little bit and say that Dan runs a site called Science of Skill, and he's a real entrepreneur in the martial arts world. I've been checking out your stuff, Dan, and we've got speaking over on Skype a little while ago, and I think you're really doing everything right. I think that's what comes across to me.
Hope so.
Yeah. So for those people who don't know anything about you, Dan, could you give us a little bit of a background on your martial arts, how you got into martial arts, what you train in, and we'll pick it up from there.
Yeah. So I got started in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu when I was like 17 years old. So, and it was a little bit of hodgepodge how I kind of came to find it. I was, I always wrestled around with my friends in the backyard. We were in middle school, just like beating each other up, having fun, because that's all you do when you're in middle school. And we were watching things online, different martial arts online. And there weren't really that many martial arts places locally that we liked, but we were just looking up stuff on the internet. And there was no YouTube back then, so I forget, we were some crazy websites. And we saw the old Hoist Gracie footage,
Yeah.
like the early UFCs, really early UFCs.
UFC, like 1 and 2 and all that.
And the pride fighting with Sakuraba. I don't know if you know Kazushi Sakuraba.
Awesome, yeah.
Very good, super old school MMA guy, like from back in the day. And I was watching Sakuraba and Hoist Gracie. I was like, wow, this stuff is amazing. And I had done a little tiny bit of wrestling in high school. Like my senior year, somebody like finally pressured me into wrestling in high school. And I actually did pretty well. I had no idea even how to wrestle, but I had done so much like scrapping in the backyard with the guys that I did okay with it. And then college rolled around, and there was no real college wrestling team, but there was a jiu-jitsu place like an hour away. So despite, living off of, selling ice cream at the beach money, I would drive a couple days a week, an hour there and an hour back basically to go train jiu-jitsu. And, my friends came with me the first couple times, and then they kind of stopped going, and I just kept going and stayed on that path and eventually opened up my own place when I was a blue belt and just kept rocking and rolling from there. So a little bit random how I initially came to find it, but thank goodness for the internet, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this just sort of moves on really is what I wanted to really talk to you about was you had some good success teaching, setting up your own school, and then moving your teaching online.
Yeah.
So how did that come about really? How did that all start?
Yeah, it was probably, the idea actually came way earlier than the implementation of the idea. And I sort of wish, I'd implemented it as soon as I'd opened the gym, or as soon as, we'd had a facility somewhere. But basically, we're in a really small town and a really small state. So in the United States, the smallest state is Rhode Island, and that's where I live. And there's a little small town in Rhode Island called Wakefield, and that's also where I live. So a small town, small state, not that many humans, and there's a lot of water around, so there's not many people to get from there, because it's water and stuff. Yeah. So we decided, well, maybe we didn't open a gym in the grandest, population dense location conceivable, but there's probably a way to share this stuff online. And the way I think about it is this, and a lot of the martial artists that I teach now, this really resonates with them. Like, this statement is that where you are, like your given geographic location, within an 8-mile radius of where your academy is, there's only X number of people who care about whatever particular style and flavor of martial art that you really like. So for me, I like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I happen to really like leg locks. I happen to like tapping out big guys, strong guys. I like back takes and like aggressive sweep games and breaking down, the Mendes brothers matches. And for many people, that's just not all that appealing. And for most folks who aren't like already in the jiu-jitsu world, that stuff is just inconceivable. I mean, the number of people that even know who the Mendes brothers are in my town is like me and like some of my students, and that's it. So sure. Nobody cares about that stuff. But online, there's already oodles of people Googling that stuff all day. How to do a leg lock, how to choke a bigger, stronger guy. There's like books on these things. So I was like, man, other people got books on this stuff. I mean, I could probably put up a video channel, a blog, a whole bunch of different stuff, and be able to share this stuff online. So for me, it was sort of like I don't know how much I can really get done in this little town. I got to expand my audience, but also just the knowledge that in a physical gym, I got to run, women's fitness classes. We got to run kids classes. We got to run whatever we got to run to make sure we have enough human beings in the gym to keep the roof up there and pay for the instructors and all that. And I love the kids classes, and I've taught the women's classes myself, and I think I do a pretty darn good job doing it. But my favorite stuff is jiu-jitsu. Sure. I can't lie about that. I can't be like, yeah, kickboxing's the coolest thing. Like, no, man, I really like jiu-jitsu the most. Yeah. So the benefit of online, too, is that I could really just be focused. I could have a whole website just about leg locks and nothing else. But I could never run a physical gym on leg locks and nothing else. So part of it was...
Just a leg lock gym.
Yeah, just leg locks. Yeah, it'd be impossible, right? Like, show up and I'll just show you leg locks. That's all we got. Monday morning is leg lock class, and Monday night is also leg lock class. Yeah. Just wouldn't work out so well, right?
No, exactly.
So I think, that there's, some issues there. So partially it was a financial thing. Man, we got to find more students, and they're not really in our location. And then also, it was a passion thing. I really love these certain topics, and if I could expand this stuff to the world, what would be better than that? Yeah, so that's sort of how I made the initial transition online.
Okay, cool. So for those of you watching, I know I think there was some figures somewhere. Could you tell us a bit about how things changed from the amount of people you had in physically in your local gym to the numbers of people you managed to attract online? Have you got any figures or
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. So it was kind of cool when we first started the gym. It was very much not a business, and it was like 2 years in when I kind of realized, like, oh man, I guess we better run this thing like a business now.
Sure.
But the online thing, we kind of realized we should probably make it a business right away if we could help it. So we wanted to structure things right and things like that. So our academy, we'd had maybe 80, 90, 100 guys or something like that over the course of, 4 years of building it in this little tiny town. Now, granted, only maybe 2 of those years were really serious business years. The other years we were just like beating each other up and, having fun with it. And then we were like, wait a second. Well, we got to pay ourselves and eat food and stuff.
I think that happens with everyone at some point. Is that you sort of start out as the
like
hobby,
that's how martial arts gyms start. It's just we don't get MBAs first, right? So that's where we were with the physical gym, and then we started the online thing. And I put up a site online actually, and really didn't do anything with it for a super long time because I got caught up in the gym. We expanded. We were doing huge promotions on these college campuses and stuff like that. I was, managing a bunch of that stuff, still doing a lot of public speaking. So I kind of let it go. And then when I knuckled down to it, it was like October 2012. We really knuckled down to it. It was, at that point we had maybe 600 email subscribers or something. And then, like 6 months later, we had like 10,000 email subscribers. Wow. And we were doing more per month online than we were in the physical martial arts gym in a 6-month span. And for the most part, I was having to do this thing part-time because I was running my gym for the most part. So it began as like a really trickled effort thing. Like I could just put up what I could put up, and that was it, in terms of YouTube videos and blogs and guest blogging and things like that. And then eventually it became, something a lot more serious, and I was able to spend maybe half and half with my time, online, offline. And then again, within that 6 months, we were, we had our first. It wasn't 6 months. It was maybe like eight months or so. We had our first like $20,000 month, and we're like, all right, nice. We got to do this stuff online a little bit more. It ended up scaling. Yeah, it was encouraging, and it scaled a little bit quicker for us, which was exciting. So.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
So that was within about a 6-month period, you say, so when you started putting stuff out to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic. So how did you first start? Was it with like you say, you put together a site and got the email list. Did you initially start with sort of having a protected content, or did you start with just YouTube? Because I know some guys just putting a few things out there with YouTube.
Yeah, there's so many different strategies to make the info marketing thing work. So what I ended up doing was I just had a basic kind of squeeze page up there, just about I've done a lot of interviews with lightweight world champions, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu world champions. I have some competitive accolades. I'm definitely not like the fancy pantsiest Jiu Jitsu competitor of all time. Kind of had a lot of other stuff I was focusing on between grad school and everything else.
I think you play yourself down there a bit. You've done some really cool stuff. I didn't actually do a very good introduction on you, Dan, but I mean, you've been was it Nogi Pan Am champ?
Yeah.
And you've written books on BJJ, and you've like you say, you've got your interview show as well. So you're immersing yourself in that culture. So you're a
I try to stay embedded. I try to stay embedded, and I like to think I know my stuff. At least the stuff I teach, right? Like there's some areas of jiu-jitsu I don't think I'm very good at, but I just don't teach that stuff. I like to teach the stuff that I feel like I'm adequate at teaching. Stuff that people pay me for seminars and private lessons to teach. I feel like generally that's the kind of stuff I could teach online and feel very confident about. But either way, I mean, I'm certainly no Marcelo Garcia, right? Or like Bruce Lee, or like, I'm not like this icon of the martial arts world. I'm just a guy, and I'm a small man in a small town in a small state, and that's it. But yeah, so we put up a basic squeeze page about some of the guys I'd interviewed, some of the competitive stuff I've done, and some of the stuff we were going to share. And it began as just, every week when I remembered, because sometimes I wouldn't, I would send out an email or two about a match breakdown, or about a particular technique, or about just something related to beating bigger and stronger opponents in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, using grappling techniques to beat somebody much bigger and stronger than you. And that was at microbjj.com, which still exists, actually, and it's still a major website for us. Right. So we began there. But it really wasn't that was like the threshold of success for us. Ultimately, we had to come up with an initial offer to drive people towards. We had to come up with more reliable and consistent ways of getting opt-ins, and we had to come up with more reliable and consistent ways of converting those folks into people who are customers, who are interested enough to, not just open an email, but to be able to invest themselves in the programs that we have online. So, so it began with that website, which was very lackadaisical. There was no real structure or order to it. And it really didn't pick up until we had that initial site built out with an autoresponder that was driving towards a particular front-end offer, which for us was a membership program. So it's like it's a monthly program for beating bigger, stronger opponents. So we have the first month at a super-duper discount with like a bunch of bonuses and stuff like that. And if they like it, they can stick around and stay involved. Again, I got a lot of great interviews. A lot of seminar footage where I teach very specific stuff for beating bigger, stronger guys. And there's some people that really, really dig that stuff. Yeah. So we basically, the squeeze page was kind of the beginning, sending out random emails at the beginning. But unless you have some kind of order, it doesn't pan out so well. So what I teach now is I have like 8 or 9 things that you got to check the box on before you really focus on traffic. And I sort of was focusing on everything at once. I was like, I'll do a Kindle book, and I'll put up a lot of YouTube videos when I can remember, and I'll blog when I can remember to, and I'll send an email when it hits my mind, maybe, and I'll, you know what I mean? But it wasn't until we developed a regimen that things became more consistent. So the initial opt-in was a very succinct follow-up of maybe 24 or so emails, really good content, really, kind of concisely written and well written, driving very specifically towards a particular offer that we knew people would care about. We built the offer based on our feedback from our email list and things like that. And because I am one of them, right? I am a lighter, smaller jiu-jitsu guy, so I kind of understand that market a bit. And then we started. So once the squeeze page was solid and the autoresponder was like set up, where we know, okay, when someone gets in touch with us, they won't like maybe buy something if we maybe eventually sell, send an email like, a bunch of, hodgepodge, morons or something.
Sure.
We actually have a consistent system to make that happen. So now we can focus on traffic. We have a legitimate offer, we have a legitimate squeeze page, and we're able to track conversion rates and adjust that. And now we'll drive traffic. So I did a lot of YouTube videos, I did a lot of guest blogging on all different websites, and then I ended up doing a lot of joint venture work with some really big fellas in the Facebook page world of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and getting them to send direct traffic to particular squeeze pages and things like that of mine, and then just exponentially expanding the email list in that manner. So so the way that we got actual traction was that. The way we got started was, hodgepodge all over the place, which is where most people, in my opinion, get stuck forever.
Yeah. It's there's so much sometimes. I know when you first sort of suddenly realise that, from my point of view, when you start thinking, well, I've got a business here, and then you look for advice, and then there is so much, isn't there? Sometimes you're like, I want to try this, I want to try that, and then you do get sort of bedded down in that. But yeah, I think you're right. You've got to get the structure, and as you say, that's worked for you guys with
big time,
with the
man.
emails.
Yeah.
So what do you use? Aweber or MailChimp or anything like that?
We actually use Infusionsoft. So Infusionsoft has some problems now with some deliverability for broadcast emails. I think it's a little bit better for autoresponder emails. Mm-hmm. So I double up, and we have GetResponse as well, which just has like a way higher open rate at this point. So Infusion's kind of going through like a little bit of muck with deliverability, which is kind of unfortunate. But we use Infusionsoft. I was using them for my martial arts gym. But you by no means need to. So you could just use Aweber. I don't understand MailChimp very well right now, but
I'm the same.
Yeah, but GetResponse for me is a very nice program. I think it's succinct. I think it runs well. I happen to like it. I think the stats and reporting is very easy. I think putting together an email seems easy. So I really like GetResponse. It's a very cheap solution for someone who wants to get started early on. Eventually, like in my case, Infusionsoft just allows for a lot more sub-segmentation and like task automation and all sorts of other things on the back end. But for getting started, GetResponse is just fine. Again, you just got to make sure you have an initial autoresponder sequence and an initial squeeze page and an initial offer. So a lot of people get response. They'll just load people up into the system. Every now and again, send out an email. Hey guys, I made a DVD. Hey guys, I watched this match.
Yep.
So you got to if you're going to invest in it, you got to have your 12 emails written or so, and you got to understand kind of email copy and how to drive to a conversion. But technology-wise, for the pure beginner, I'd recommend GetResponse probably.
Cool. So I was going to just backtrack a little bit as well, and I always like to keep it positive, and I don't like to dwell on it like too much negative sides. But I know some people probably watching who may have a barrier that they worry about teaching online. They may get political. With martial arts, we quite often hear about things getting political, or other instructors saying you can't teach this, you can't teach that. Have you had any problems with that? Have you found any difficulties?
To be honest, I really haven't. I think the more you do stuff, the more you take the heat. So it's just kind of the case, right? Like there's never been like the really extreme example is like there's never been a president of the United States who haven't had 40 to 60% of the people like really just not like him.
Don't want them. Yeah.
It's just because there's if there's attention on you and you're making decisions and you're doing things, like people aren't gonna, you know what I mean? It's the same with if you run any kind of company, there's like a certain number of people. There's enough eyeballs on you. There's going to be that kind of stuff, And I don't like to think about it like, those are the people that are my enemies because they think I'm there. You know what I mean? It just kind of is what it is. So I think there's probably some folks out there who I haven't taken any serious heat. But there's probably some folks out there who are like, oh, man, he's doing all this stuff on the internet and blah, blah, blah. I think at the very end of the day, for me, it's just kind of about, am I confident in what I'm teaching? Am I confident in the way that I'm selling and presenting these programs on the internet? Do I feel solid about it? And that's kind of that, So I think at the end of the day, when we get to a 20,000 person list and whatever, there's probably going to be some people that are like, and this Dan guy, blah, blah, blah. But it's not, I've never said like I'm a world champ. There's no lies to uncover. It's just like I'm being me.
Exactly. Like you said.
Martial arts, man. I don't know what else to say,
Yeah.
And I think, yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, like you said earlier, is being authentic in what you're into, and your specialism. And just not being something you're not. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been something, and I think that's often a fear for folks. Like, again, we're teaching at this point. We're teaching people outside the martial arts niche. So I have guys who are looking to teach guitar online, guys looking to teach mental confidence online. I have a guy looking to teach like a tango dancing online, and these guys are learning from our stuff. But martial artists in particular sometimes we'll have a little bit of a consideration of, hey, my belt rank is this, or, I don't want to teach anything I'm not good at, or, I don't know anybody else that does this kind of, it's just, there's a lot of barriers, I think.
Yeah. I'm
not even a black belt right now, right? I'm a brown belt, in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I have some decent accolades and stuff at that level, but, I've just, I am who I am. And I think if you're totally frank about who you are, and if you legitimately do have skills that could be valuable to a subset of people, and you believe that in your heart, you've taught people in real life, you know that is in fact the case, then talk to those people. I don't, I'm not marketing like spider guard skills because like I'm not really that good at spider guard, but leg locks, like I have enough tournament footage of like other people screaming and tapping and
you
blood curdling, like like cracking noises in their legs and stuff. To be like, yeah, like I do that stuff, like that was really me, and those guys, so I feel okay teaching it. So at the end of the day, from a martial artist perspective, because of course, sort of the honor and the untaintedness of martial arts is very important. Thinking that you're turning it into a business, often there's kind of like guilt associated with that. For me, I mean, if there was guilt associated with it, I wouldn't have a gym. I would like be flipping burgers and just training I would be driving an hour every day to train where I was training before. I don't know if that's better for the world or not than if I have a martial arts gym that I can share this stuff. And also, I wouldn't have 10,000 folks, from Malaysia, France, everywhere else, who've, on a weekly basis are learning from, the best lightweight grapplers in the world who I interview on a regular basis. So I'm able to take the insights from the best guys in the world, not only myself, but the best guys in the world, distill it, break it down, show it in new lights, explain the dynamics, teach it to the world, and have programs and courses too. If there was too much resistance, like, whoa, what if somebody bought something? Like, wouldn't that just be the worst thing ever? Then of course I wouldn't be able to invest the same time in that project and be able to share that stuff. So for me, it's actually a very important thing that I do find the ethical and proper way of being able to market my martial arts skills. And most of the folks that approach us now have a similar attitude in martial arts. So like, they see it the same way. If you're being who you actually are, if you're teaching something that you know is valuable, then for the love of goodness, go teach it, man. And are there going to be a couple people who are like, you know what? And then he had a YouTube video showing that technique, that son of a bee. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, man.
Whatever, exactly.
It's all good. No one's come up to my house with like a bat. No one's. I haven't gotten any death threats in the mail yet, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Exactly. I think one of the things in the early days when I started putting out videos and things and actually doing this show as well, and you put all this pressure like there's going to be millions of people watching me, and really, in all honesty, you're getting 5 or 10 to start off with a couple of months. Yeah,
right. And that's that's another one of those things.
You just got to put it out there and try it. And this is something I think, like you say, not strictly in the martial arts, but I think there's this sort of ethics conflict with martial artists, that there's something bad about either making money or self-promoting, in that kind of way. And but there isn't, and you look at every other kind of industry, that they're getting on with it and doing it, and I think it's changing in the martial arts a lot more. But I just wondered, it's good to get your views on that, and it sort of reflects a lot of the people we've interviewed in the past on.
Yeah, big time. And if you're too fearful to teach, shucks. I mean, if all you could ever do is a volunteer program at the YMCA, your reach is going to be so limited in terms of how you can share your stuff. So for me, I always knew I wanted to do more. I wanted to teach as soon as I started training. I knew I want to be a teacher of this stuff, and finding a way to do that full time. Like I was, 18. Yeah. I was like, I will find a way to do this full time. I just set it in my mind.
You just knew it, yeah. And also it helps with that evolution, doesn't it? If you can't get paid to do what you love doing, then you can't build as much time into it to evolve it and make it better, and and do all those good things. So that's
exactly.
I completely agree with that. So where we left off from there. So you got your autoresponder, everything sorted. What other sort of stages were like game changers to you? What made teaching online just the mission then?
Yeah, take that to the next level. Some of the biggest things for us, so it's very important. Again, I really want to drive home the importance of having an initial autoresponder sequence and an initial offer that's presented in the right way, really designing an offer that's super appealing. Yeah. When we just had hey, here's our $17 download course, it doesn't really appeal as much as if you have a whole bunch more free stuff. You put on the guarantee, you do all the stuff that you should do for if you're going to sell something, an offer online. You create a really legitimate offer. If you check out some of my websites, microbjj.com, bjjleglocks.com. Some of those were built older, and I have a lot of other projects I'm moving into right now, so I haven't tweaked up all my old stuff. But you'll see a lot of pretty decent offers. We're mailing out DVDs to Malaysia for only $7 to have people check out our member grant. We're losing money on that, but it's to the point where we have enough of a stick rate and people really like the stuff that it's more than worth it to us to do that. So creating a solid offer was a really big difference for us, rather than cool, we have a DVD now. Hey guys, it doesn't really cut it. Yeah. Building up an offer, making it super hyper appealing. Mm-hmm. Putting a lot of emphasis on making a really great offer was big for us. The other thing was joint venture projects. So one of the benefits, or one of the things one of the bigger reasons people are working with us now, I have some guys that work with me on a group coaching level, one-on-one stuff, is because we have connections with all these guys that are in the martial arts world now doing this. Sure. So when people get started, one of the best ways to build an audience is not just to have your own YouTube videos and try to get some links back. But if you have somebody with 10,000 followers, I was working with guys with 75,000 Facebook fans. Working with something like that, now you can drive so much more traffic and attention to you than you ever could by yourself. So that was a really huge thing for us, was finding JV partners early.
This is something I've actually noticed myself doing MartialPreneur TV as well, is the guests that come on, like yourself and everyone else, they generally mail out to their own list. And I see the figures just leap, when people have been on. And it's also surprised me how open the martial arts world is for talking about stuff like this, or whatever products or things it is. I think sometimes when you've just started out getting online, you're in the mindset of the sort of small town dojo, and there's no one else around you. Yeah. But as soon as you go online, like you say, with joint venture and just getting in touch with other people who are out there and seeing if you can partner up and work together is, I know for me, with this show, is huge. Yeah,
it's so important, man. For yourself, for anybody online. Your show's obviously a good example too. It's distribution channels, in real businesses outside of teaching stuff online, tournaments, distribution channels. So if you create some kind of a fruit juice or something and you're going to try to sell it, you got to find a supermarket to buy in. You got to find fruit trucks that are willing to buy in. You gotta, or you gotta open up your own storefronts. You need to distribute it. You need to get it in front of people, and you need to be able to market it and sell it. With our stuff, it's the same deal, with martial arts. So how do you distribute that stuff? There's other people, and the way I think about it is, who's talking to who I want to be talking to right now. And there's plenty of great examples, and I've been able to partner up with those guys, and now a lot of those guys pay me for consulting stuff, for content marketing, and for other things. They're like business partners of mine, they're friends of mine, and we've also helped each other promote various programs that we've created, that we care about, that we're looking to share. So joint venture is really, really important. And one of the ways that I actually did that, oddly enough, we're on an interview show right now, was I did a lot of that through interviews initially, right? So I would interview guys and just talk to them about their experience in martial arts and how they get started and yada, yada. And then through the conversation, it'd be like, hey, cool, man. Well, you got this, and I write for these 4 websites. I'd love to do a feature on this stuff if you think you could blah, 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 blah. And you find a cool way to work it back and forth. And, man, it's just, for me, the skyrocketing of the business to getting to like 10,000 readers and stuff, that was so much through effective partnerships, more so than anything else. So that was really a big deal for us.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's just, I just completely agree there, and it just echoes sort of really, people forget online business is the same as offline, It is. Just because I think there was back maybe 10 years ago, the sort of the way people used to make money online was like, it's instant, and you get all these sort of like
yeah. And obviously that's sort of, yeah. I mean, internet marketing has a bad rap for that reason, I think, in some respects, right? Yeah.
So I think that's what people with shit, and then when people do it properly, they tend to think, oh, but there must be some secret way I can just press a button and then millions of people know about me. It's like, what would you do if you owned a shop or your gym? You go out, talk to your community, go and network. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit quicker, and like I'm talking to you in Rhode Island.
Yes.
And I'm in Surrey in England, just outside of London. And
which is cool. Yeah,
which is just cool. Crazy, isn't it? So so networking and joint ventures, absolutely. So is there anything else you want to talk about, Dan, on your mission there? So on building up your business online. So from joint ventures, anything else that was like
other stuff that was real game changer for me? Okay, let me think of some other stuff that was big. Other stuff that was really big for us was learning about like higher ticket programs and upsells, and we're still moving more so in that direction, where we had 40 programs in like the $37 to $17 range or something crazy like that. We just filmed like a ton of courses. Yeah. And for us, like there's a certain subsegment of people that will buy $17 things from you, who will, with no question, buy $57 things from you. And then there's a subsegment of those people who will, with no question, buy $97 things from you. And there's a subsegment of those guys who will, with no question, buy $300 things from you. And I've had somebody purchase a $600 upsell from our programs to basically purchase like an entire external hard drive with basically all of our courses, which is like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and just like tons and tons and tons of hours, seminars, and whatever. They basically got like this massive package for like $600. And unless we bundled that stuff together and turned it into a $600 thing, the likelihood of that person buying onesie, twosie programs to add up to $600 is really unlikely, right?
They've got to keep going through that sales process. And,
I mean, it's just ugly. So we wanted to make it so that, because here's the thing, man, some people be like, what, a $200 program? That's insulting. Who would ever buy a $200? Well, I can tell you, dozens and dozens and dozens of people buy a $200 program, and actually, our higher ticket programs are pretty darn well received. At the end of the day, like people really like them because we have a lot of stuff in there. So some people will be like, whoa, I can't do $200. That's fine. That happens to me online. I mean, I'm a buyer. I'm one of those guys, like I'm always investing in myself. And every now and again, I'll come across something. I'll be like there was an emerging technology conference that was actually starting today in at MIT, which I really wanted to go to. There was some stuff with the family and whatever, but also there was it more than $2,000 to show up at this thing for 2 days. And I was like, you know, so whatever. But what am I going to do? Send them mail and be like, you sons of bees, how dare you charge to? It is what it is, right? I'm not the guy. I'm just not the guy this time. But you know what? They got hundreds of people showing up at that thing. I don't know. What does that amount to? You know what I mean? I don't count the money. Exactly. Somebody over there does, though, you know? So somebody's making bread. And they're doing it perfectly ethically. They're just throwing it out there. Hey, guys, $2,000. You want to show up? Great.
You know, it's also sometimes you get surprised by challenging things. Sometimes you're changing things up. And I know my first sort of solo product I put on, which I was doing the training videos for our VIP list members. I was doing selling the DVD on eBay. Train. I sent you the link to that, and like friends of mine said, you'll never sell a DVD on the right cross. You know, like everyone, like you can go on YouTube and find the right cross, and you know. But it sold, you know, within 3 days, the first one, and I was selling one a week. And you know, it's not huge numbers. It's not going to, you know, turn anyone into a millionaire, but it's needed, you know, and people want it, and they want it put together in a good way, you know, not just a crappy video that someone's thrown together.
Yeah, on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an example with pricing and things like that, and then it's just down to need, isn't it? If someone really wants that, they'll pay whatever.
That's exactly it, man. Yeah. I mean, if I really needed to go to that conference, those guys would have $2,000 quicker than you can. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, I just whack the card, you know, wham, and I'd be showing right up, you know. Yeah. So it is what it is. But the need wasn't that much. The price was a little bit of a jump, but there's a certain percentage of people who just take it. So our thing now is, you know, if somebody buys X program, being able to present them with a follow-up offer immediately afterwards that they can take it or not, but you know, it's likely to be something they're interested in if they bought the lower course.
Sure.
So, you know, 17 to 67, 17 to 87, you know, maybe, you know, 80, 90% of people say no. There's going to be some segment, you know, 20 to 10% will be like, yeah, sure, man, boom. And they'll spend $87 right after they spend 17. And if you have a 1 in every, you know, 7 people purchasing 87 after 17, you know, you're almost doubling your money.
Sure.
And at the same time, you're also providing a deeper and fuller benefit to the people looking for your stuff. Because that guy who bought the 17 and then the 87, you know, he might have left your website like, oh, crap, well, I guess he's got that one DVD. That was cool.
Exactly. He wouldn't know about the rest of it, yeah.
You wouldn't know you got other stuff. And if you do, great. And if you offer guarantees on the stuff, then there's no risk to him. You know what I mean? Then he could tell you if he didn't like it, but at the end of the day, you know, if you put out an $87 program, hopefully you believe in it, and you know, we certainly do. So there's a certain percentage of people that take, and that can double your margins, you know, right away. So that's also been a very, very important thing for us with our online business. It was JV partners, and then also having higher ticket programs and having upsells. Right. So in addition to the upsells, so as soon as they buy this, they get presented with this. You know, it's like the next page over is this. And it could be a thank you video with it. Hey, guys, thanks so much for getting in on my, you know, Achilles lock course. You know, I know you guys are going to like a lot of the setup and finishing details, and we try to break it down for both gi and no gi practitioners, blah, blah. If you guys are interested, I have a collection of 3 leg lock seminars as well as a leg lock drilling sequence that we use, which we're offering now for just $67. Normally that's a XYZ program. You guys can grab it for $67, instant download, and it comes with blah, 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 blah. So if you guys want to check that out, it's right down there below. Otherwise, thanks a lot for getting on the Achilles course. See you later. You know, that's the video. Sure. It's like 20-second video. And people will be like, oh, okay, cool. And some people say yes, some people say no. That's been very important. The other thing is sending out emails to the folks who've already bought your stuff. So, for example, when somebody's on your prospect sequence, you know, you're trying to get them to buy something, they eventually buy something. Sometimes those guys don't get communicated to as much because they bought something already. But at the end of the day, they should be treated even better. I mean, well, you should hone in even more attention. You should focus even more effort.
Absolutely,
you know, to talk to those guys.
They spent money with you, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously they're interested enough to really want to invest with you. So, so sending out specific email broadcasts to, you know, folks who are buyers. So, you know, let me pull up all my leg lock buyers, and I'll send them this email. You know, maybe it's just cool content. I just want to send them like an awesome new video series I filmed, and it's for free. It's on YouTube, but I just put it together in one email and just send it to them as a thank you. Maybe sometimes it's a new seminar, leg lock seminar I'm selling for $27. Maybe it's a full-blown course for $87. whatever it is, but communicating specifically with the buyers, again, showing appreciation, but then also giving them an opportunity to buy at a higher level. Yeah. Otherwise, they might be like, yeah, I bought that $17 thing. It was really good, but yeah, I never got anything else from them, so whatever. Yeah. You know, they buy that $87 thing if you put it in front of them. You know, you just got to make sure you get it out there. So upsells, and then communicating with your buyers the way you should, you know, with the attention that they warrant. You know, those were also very big step-ups for us, having a consistent regimen for communication with buyers.
Right, okay, fantastic. Well, that's some serious information in there, Dan. we got loads of. I'm gonna be writing up so many notes after this.
Yeah, anything else, just let me know. I'm more than happy to spill the beans on jiu-jitsu and otherwise. Whatever people want to know, man.
Well, what I was going to ask you is, like, where do you see the future of your online training going? What do you see? You know, where would you like to take it, or where do you see it going?
Yeah, so good question. And I've been thinking a lot about this lately myself in terms of different directions, because I got a lot of other projects I'm really taking very seriously right now, even outside of martial arts. But for this business, we're doing a very big product launch on the 31st, so around like Halloween time. So that's going to be pretty big. We're going to expand the list out. But really, we're going to switch our emphasis a little bit. We're going to keep an emphasis on the martial arts stuff that we have. We're going to continue, you know, communicating, sending content, doing great interviews, that kind of stuff, and giving that out to our list, and keeping that the way it is. But we're also going to do a little bit more of an emphasis on folks who want to do what we've done, which is, you know, get paid what you're worth for teaching what you love. So that was really something I set my heart on when I was very, you know, relatively young, I guess, 18 or so. I just decided I had friends delivering pizzas, man. I had friends selling insurance and just doing stuff they did not like. Like there was no passion, there was no energy, there's no creativity, no fulfillment, no sharing, there was none of the things that I loved about training. So I wanted to teach what I love and get paid what I was worth. And now we're teaching a lot more martial artists to do the same thing we did online. There's plenty of people who are like me. They're not particularly famous, but they can teach well and they're passionate, and they can just as easily as me build an audience and build a six-figure business if they go about it properly. We're also teaching folks how to run seminars. So another thing that I do is I teach a lot of seminars. I also do college speaking presentations and presentations for businesses and things like that. And you know, being able to bring more value to the table for a seminar and consequently be paid more for a seminar is something that I was forced to do early on when I was driving back and forth from grad school. And my grad school was like 7 hours away from my living spot. So I was doing some remote learning for my graduate program at UPenn, but then otherwise I was like driving. So I needed to pick up seminars and make some extra bucks to pay for gas and stuff. And I found ways to you know, bring a lot more value to the table for a seminar and also be paid, you know, consequently more so for doing that, not just showing up and teaching a crappy seminar, you know, and get paid $80 or something, but, you know, getting like $600, $800 checks for martial arts seminars is something a lot of other people are interested in. So we're teaching that now, how to be able to help automate some of your marketing for a martial arts gym. That's something we're teaching now. So we're really, you know, in addition to sharing with martial artists, we're sharing the things that we used to help do this full time and really support ourselves with martial arts. So that's been a big branch of the business moving forward, and that's going to be a big emphasis for me.
Ah, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome, Dan. I mean, there's a lot of things you're hitting on there. Is some of the stuff I've thought we need that around. You know, we need more of that, and I think you know, the way things are changing, the way we communicate is just getting so much better, and more technology is easily available. You can, you know, it's easier nowadays to be and do what you want to be and do than
I think so, and I'm very grateful for that. There's no time I forget about that, man. I'm super aware, super conscious of the fact that, you know, there's plentiful opportunity, and I'm way more than appreciative every single morning when I wake up for that, and I really aim to take advantage of that, you know, because, geez, you know, there's definitely people that don't have that same thing, or different eras and times where people didn't. So, yeah, certainly, there's a lot of opportunity to do it, and freeing that up for other people is really something I'm passionate about doing now.
Well, I think it shows, Dan, and you know, I appreciate everything you've shared with us today on the show, and you know, it's you can tell you're a natural teacher, and you know, if your courses are half as good as what you've given us today, then you know, everyone should just buy them up now, I think. But
Appreciate it.
where can we find you, more about you, if our MartialPreneur TV viewers want to check out your stuff? Where should they go? What's your...
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a bunch of my different websites, and you had mentioned scienceofskill.com, which is my main blog.
That's right.
But really, right now, our emphasis on teaching other martial artists, both in terms of list building, building an online following, revenue streams via the internet, or even stuff for their gym. microbjj.com/internet is actually the main site where we have it's like my own kind of free guide on essentially how we did what we did within our 6-month span. So a lot of the core fundamentals, I break it down into 4 basic categories in a PDF format, and then we also have a starter kit for I think we send it out just for the price of shipping. It's ridiculously cheap right now for a DVD, a guide, and an audio CD on that stuff. So most people just find us that way. I haven't, honestly, at this point anyway, I haven't really been super thumping it. I'm still mostly involved in just the martial. In terms of my marketing, I'm really just talking about techniques and skills. But microbjj.com/internet is where we are giving away that free PDF as well as our starter guide for people that are interested. So if people want to check that out, it might be somewhere in that general vicinity. We'll make sure we have that up there. And I'm always sending out cool stuff to those guys too. I'm always aiming to study business and marketing at kind of the next level. So whether it's different tips and tricks for marketing as a martial artist, PDFs like I had already mentioned, or interviews and insights. I have a free video series. Once people get in on that PDF, there's a free video series on list building and guest blogging, conversion and initial offers, all the stuff I talked to you about basically today in a whiteboard format where I really go into detail. So that's a super cool video series for people who want to check that out at microbjj.com/internet. So yeah, that's it.
Dan, that sounds awesome, mate. Thanks again very much.
Thanks,
well, hopefully, if anyone has any questions, you can always email me. That's scott@martialpreneur.tv, and I'm sure Dan will answer anything if you've got any other questions for Dan. So yeah, get in touch. Let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to put your comments in below, and thanks again, Dan. And hopefully you'll come back on the show in the future.
Yes, indeed, my man. I look forward to it. Thanks, Scott.
Stay in touch. Thanks very much. See you, man.
Cool.